Alrighty, we are here again, Mashers. Welcome back to the Weekly Mash. We're so excited to be here with another incredible author spotlight. Today we have Celina Thompson joining us to talk about her dark, daring, and powerful new novel, La Mamácita Mafiosa. Before we jump in, I am married to a half Mexican, but I do not speak Spanish fluently, and I don't have a great accent. So while we're going through this, just keep that in mind. Bear with me, guys. It's okay. So we are looking at a story that is diving into love, trauma, power, and survival. And it has a very cultural backdrop of South Texas during El Dia de los Muertos. So Celina, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and take a minute, introduce yourself to our listeners, tell us a little bit about your book, and then we will dive into more detail.
Hi, I'm Celina Thompson, and I'm a vampire. I have a number of autoimmune conditions that make me the closest thing you get to actually being a vampire. Sunlight's painful, I can't have garlic, and I need blood transfusions.
That's crazy.
And that inspired me to write my debut novel. And then I wanted to continue writing about things that were important to me. So this most recent novel is inspired by my blood clotting condition. It's about a bisexual woman who runs the Mexican Mafia, and she got into that position because of some very not great laws that are in Texas right now post Roe v. Wade.
Okay. All right.
I'm so intrigued already. And I love
I know I like what this is
that
going.
it's a female in a very powerful position.
So there's this thing in Mexican culture where the men may be like the outward facing head of the family, but all of the decisions are pretty much made by the woman. Like they are terrifying when they give you the look. And it's like, okay, I'm going to behave now. Hispanic mothers are known for tossing a chancla and having that be worse than any spanking.
Yes, yes.
And so this is the idea of, well, what if the woman actually ran the underground mafia stuff? Because the man would be the one suspected. But if he doesn't actually know what's going on, he's not going to get caught on anything. And for some of the people, which will be coming up in the second book, they'll have spousal privilege. So the women get off for that.
Excited.
Those chocolate spankings, I tell you what.
The aim is scary accurate.
It's funny because I can literally picture Miranda's husband talking about it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. I'm so like we were just telling Celina that at the beginning of the week we normally sit down, Miranda and I, on a video and we talk about everybody that's coming up and what we still need to get from them, what we need to do, like all of the things. And we were looking at Celina's script and everything for today, and Miranda and I were so excited. I'm literally getting like goosebumps right now just talking about how excited we were when we got to see what was coming up. So Celina, thanks for being the amazing author and coming on here and giving us a chance to talk to you about it. I don't even know you. I've stalked you a little bit and I'm already fangirling already. So thank you. Okay, so let's
I don't know what to say to that. I'm so
I'm like, seriously, I'm so excited. I don't know. I nervous clap. So that's how you know I'm excited.
You do.
Yeah. Appreciate that because I'm an independent author, which means I don't have a publishing house backing me. And so there aren't very many moments that I get to be around people who are as excited about my books. And so it's just, this is equally as exciting for me.
Oh, anytime.
We love our
for you to be
indies.
here.
Yes.
And we love our indies, like Miranda said. That's the reason we do this, is because we believe that indies deserve just as big, if not bigger, of a spotlight than traditionally published authors because of all the work. You guys are literally wearing every single hat, while most traditionally published authors are just wearing the author hat, and like that's all they have to do is be the author. You guys are like the social media teams and like every other hat that you could be wearing, like seriously. So
formatting. That's something that I didn't really think about until I started actually writing my books. Like with this book, I did these really pretty chapter headers. I did into 3 sections. Let me see if I can find one of the section breaks. But I put maybe.
When you want to find it, you can never find it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And for formatting that took me several hours
I'm sure.
to do. And then another thing that's really important to me is, since I write from a place of my disabilities, I want my work to be as accessible as possible. So I use a dyslexic friendly font in my books, and I
Wow.
make a little bit bigger and a little bit spaced apart so that when you read the page, it's not as taxing to
Right.
your body.
Man, you literally thought of like everything by yourself. Let's just keep saying
Yeah, I
that
love
by
that.
yourself.
As much as publishing and writing is a solo career, it's not. I have a phenomenal group up here in Colorado of fellow authors, and a lot of these things I learned from just conversations with them and having them as my support system and my editors. Like, I could not do this alone.
Mm-mm.
As isolating as it can sometimes feel, there really is always a community of support behind any author.
And we love that, or we feel the same way. Like, even just doing this small part, I feel like we
Right.
have so much of a community. Like, the relationships that we build with every single person that we get to interview is amazing. Like, we're friends with pretty much every author that we've talked to. Like, we talk to them on a regular basis. We share every single thing that they post. And it's cool that they're doing the same for us without us really saying, hey, we have this happening. Can you help put it out? Like, it's like an unspoken law now that since we've joined each other on a podcast episode, that we just support each other. That's what I love about the indie community.
So forewarning, you're stuck with us
You're
now.
stuck with us forever.
Forewarning, given my publishing schedule for the next years, y'all are stuck with me.
Not complaining. Seriously, we
We'll
love it.
take it.
And anytime you're willing to, or anytime you are willing to come on, if I can talk, this is why the words were hard. We'd love for you to be here. Okay, so we're going to jump in a little bit more about you. We want to learn about you as an author and your background and your inspiration. So let's start with your writing journey. How did you get started writing, and what led you into the world of Mafia dark romance?
So my background, I never intended to be an author. Like, that was not in my game plan. I never dreamed of it as a little girl. I'd always journaled and stuff, but with my autoimmune conditions, it's put me on my deathbed more times than I can count. Literally at least 20 times.
Wow.
And I lost track of all of that. But the major times were blood clots. And I've had 6 hospitalizations for blood clots. The third one, we figured out the condition and what it was. I started on medication, thought everything was fine. I was part of 5% of the population that fails on that medication and got a blood clot in my brain.
Oh my God.
And I was sitting in the ICU, so frustrated. I was like, okay, we figured this out. I thought it was over. I was diligent with my meds. Why is this happening? And I had a lot of mental health struggles with it. And my best friend told me that I needed to write through my feelings. And I told him, I'm not about to journal negativity. That's just going to manifest bad things.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, then put it in a story. And I had made a joke for many years about being a vampire. One of my friends that took me into the hospital for a blood transfusion one time was visibly uncomfortable, whereas for me, this was like the 8th or ninth one that year. And so it was run of the mill. I knew the nurses by name. I was completely comfortable there. So I started making jokes about being a vampire to break the tension and put her at ease. I used the 3, the garlic, sunlight, and transfusions as like a touch base, but this went on for over an hour of me cracking jokes about my medical stuff. And so when I was having that kind of difficulty with the blood clot in my brain, I'm like, okay, I will make the vampires go through what I'm feeling so that I don't have to deal with it and I can process it. But it was a very interesting process because with the blood clot, I could not look at a screen for more than 5 minutes without violently throwing up. And so about the first 40,000 words were all dictated into my phone, into the Notes app. And then I had to go back and see what Siri thought I was saying and try and figure out what I actually meant. And I never intended to publish that, but I realized that I've learned a lot through all of my disabilities. And like, there are some life lessons that if you know these ahead of time, it can make dealing with difficult things more easy. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and finish this and publish it. My debut released in 2023. I just kind of put it out there. And then it went #1 in erotic horror on Amazon. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's doing something. Last year, I did my first in-person event, and I got to meet a reader that it's helped get over some of their issues. And I was just so touched by that I'm like, okay, let me continue telling these stories from this place. And so Mamácita Mafiosa is the first book in a trilogy, and it is about Graciela, who is dealing with some medical trauma from her relationship with her ex-husband and losing her child. And it was inspired by the overturning of Roe v. Wade, because the same medical condition that I have that put me in the hospital to write the first book is very dangerous to have in my home state of Texas now, because most women don't find out that they have, it's called antiphospholipid syndrome, until their fourth or fifth miscarriage. And that's because for most people, I have a very extreme form of it, but for most people, the changes in hormones when you get pregnant is what triggers the blood clots. And the blood clots cause the miscarriage. And so, with the state of things in Texas right now, doctors are so afraid to give care to pregnant women. And so I know that if I ever try and have kids, I will miscarry at least 4 times, probably closer to 7 or 8. And that not being able to get care when that happens, because I don't trust my body to actually fully miscarry. And under Texas law, the procedure that would get rid of the rest of the miscarriage once it's started is considered an abortion.
Yep.
And so you have to literally be on your deathbed with sepsis before they will do anything. And even then, sometimes they send women home. And it's caused women to die in Texas. And so I just want to, this was my way of addressing something that is very near and dear to my heart, the healthcare aspect of things, in a very fun way. A third of the book is spicy scenes. I literally did the math, and a third of the book is spice. And there's a lot of other fun cultural things in it. And it is definitely still erotic horror. There are some things that I call torture tattoos because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but they are very disturbing. And I made them pretty because I have an obsession with making the dark things pretty. And yeah, it's my way of speaking out. And I chose to self-publish this specifically because of the election last year. It did not go the way I thought it was going to. Had put out to agents to try and get this picked up and go the traditional route. And then when that happened, I gave it some serious thought, because with traditional publishing, it can take 2 to 3 years for a book to hit shelves. I didn't if this was going to have the same kind of impact in 3 years. I didn't know if it would matter in 3 years.
Yeah. Can I just say, I wish I had my debit card right now, because I'd just be like, take my money. Take it.
Fun thing for your listeners. Right now, because it is spooky season and all of my books are spooky, this book and my debut novel this book and the debut are available in a Goodreads giveaway that just started. And then the new one, La Mamácita Mafiosa, will end on November 2nd, which is El Dia de los Muertos. And then Sanctuary, which is the vampire one, will end on Halloween because vampires.
Right.
And then La Mamácita Mafiosa is also available right now on a Storygraph giveaway.
I'm ready.
Very cool.
I know what I'm doing when I'm done here.
Right?
If I haven't already bought it by the end of the episode.
You're funny.
We have that problem.
You do. You do have a problem.
It's a good
Your
problem.
problem with buying books cannot be worse than mine. I'm about to have to film a whole video later today about the books I got over the summer. They are stacked on my counter and almost taller than I am, because I went to StokerCon and was not expecting to come back with 30 books from StokerCon. And then I've had 2 or 3 of my friends have events, and then my best friend, I did a book signing at his store, and somehow he convinced me to buy a suitcase and pay for the extra checked bag to bring books from his store back. I'm still not sure how he did that, but
It's
another
magic.
50 books. Yeah.
All the books behind me. So I have like this whole shelf. I have a shelf in front of me, and most of a shelf right here. I have they're all non-read books because the only books I keep are my indie books because they're my heart. Any of the other books I trade and I don't keep because my house is too small. I don't have place for it. So all of my books in my room are non-read books.
It's your TBR room.
Yeah.
Yes,
I like it. I should make a
exactly.
sign for the door. Actually,
You
TBR
should.
room.
That's a good one.
Man.
Yeah.
Love Celina. You're so smart.
My TBR is mostly on my Kindle, so it doesn't take up as much space.
That makes sense.
Yes.
More fun to have physical copies.
Let's
That's your
dive
movie.
into Graciela here. So we know she's strong, complex, faced with the ultimate test when her toxic ex resurfaces based on the blurb that you provided us. What inspired her character in her journey of reclaiming power?
How do I say this without giving things away?
Right?
So she goes through some trauma with her ex-husband, and he gets a little bit vindictive, and it lands her in jail. She didn't do anything wrong. Basically, what she's in jail for is having a miscarriage. And so when she gets there, all of the women in prison find out that she's in jail because she had a miscarriage, and it pisses them off. And so they rally behind her and form this organization of people who have a bunch of underground contacts. And they decide to use that for good. This isn't much of a spoiler, but she takes over some of the drug cartels, and instead of running dangerous drugs, she runs things like insulin and other medications that are way too expensive in this country. I think about my medication for my blood clotting condition without insurance. It's about $14,000 per month. With insurance, it still runs me about $800. So it's just insanely expensive, and it shouldn't be. And so her thought process is that if the system that's designed to protect us is not going to protect us, then we're going to go around and protect each other.
Yeah.
No, my daughter is allergic to bees. Not that it's as severe as yours, but my daughter's allergic to bees, and to get her an EpiPen, at first the insurance was like, no, because you don't have a diagnosis from an actual allergist. I'm like, okay. She's been stung probably 4 times in the last 5 years. The first one, she had head to toe hives, blistering hives, couldn't breathe. She's been hospitalized once. She went anaphylactic in an ambulance. And you're telling me that there's no reason she needs an EpiPen. So for the first 2 refills, I had to fight for it. And they wanted me to pay the $1,200 because you have to have 2 EpiPens because they only last 15 minutes. And I'm like, this is literally a life-saving drug that she has to have. And you want me to pay $1,200 just for an EpiPen? And they're like, yeah. I was like, but now this may be a little controversial, and I'm sorry, but drug addicts can go in. I don't know if it's the whole United States or just in Washington State. They can go into any pharmacy and ask for a clean box of needles for free. And I'm like,
know that.
But I have to pay $1,200 for EpiPens.
So they had me on some pretty severe painkillers for the blood clot in my brain because it was one of the most painful things I've been through. And that cost me $60 for a month's supply of it. And I'm like, how does this cost this little when the medication that's keeping me alive costs so much?
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a new one. It's been around forever. And it got to the point that my insurance one time denied my medication, and I had already hit my out-of-pocket maximum for the insurance. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'll play this game. I know what the symptoms are. At that point, I'd already had 5 rounds of blood clots. I could identify them, and I was expecting it. So I went for a month without my medication. And then I went into the hospital, and I'm like, I have a blood clot. And they're like, how do you know that? And I told them all the symptoms, and I told them my history, and they pulled it up, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to check you for it. We'll check the area you think it's in. Sure enough, there was a blood clot because it cost me nothing at that point to go in and get hospitalized for a few days, as they wanted me to pay $500 for 1 month of medication. They didn't deny me after that.
I bet. Because now they're being hit with a several $1,000 bill instead of...
Which my doctors told them they would happen, and they didn't believe them. And so I'm like, you know what? If we catch it early, it's not that big of a deal for me personally because I know what the signs are and I can catch it when it's still very small. And so that's what we did.
That's
Man,
still so scary, though.
no.
Yeah.
Seriously though, you like kudos to you for fighting for yourself and pretty much telling your
Yeah.
insurance company to shove it.
Yeah. I don't think it was scary to me because the first 2 times that I had blood clots were the scary part.
Yeah.
The first time, I had so many clots in my legs and in my lungs. I was engaged at the time, and they told my ex-fiance, "Don't use the word, but say your goodbyes. If you have anything left to tell her, go
Wow.
ahead and say it because she's got 30 minutes to live." And then 3 days later, the doctor comes into my room and goes, "I don't know how you're still alive. Medically speaking, you shouldn't be, but you're here, so we're gonna treat you and see what happens."
3 days later.
Because those are
Wow.
words you love to hear.
It's ridiculous.
And yeah, so that was I wasn't scared because they didn't tell me about it, and that's kind of one of the things that shaped some of my writing is that time they wanted me to stay positive. They didn't want me to go down a dark spiral. And with all my time in the being hospitalized, I've seen only 2 reactions. When you have really bad medical things, there's only 2 reactions. You're either really grateful and you have a positive outlook and you fight it and you keep going, or you go, "Why is me?" and it spirals dark. And people's recovery chances I've seen parallel that. If you're positive
Yep.
and you're grateful, you have a better chance of making it through. If you're negative, there's a good chance that your health's gonna decline with that.
Yeah, because you've already determined like this is the outcome. Why
Mm-hmm.
even fight?
Right.
The whole concept of whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And so, like, probably the scariest one for me was my second round of blood clots. I got a clot in my heart that blocked 90% of my right ventricle, and the doctor said that I could go at any minute, and I had to have open heart surgery for it. I was 24 years old.
Wow.
You don't expect to have open heart surgery
No.
at 24 years.
Yeah.
And so surviving that, anything else pales in.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Wow.
Man,
Yeah.
girl. And you're writing books while you're dealing with it.
Right? You're incredible. That's
What color is your
wow.
cape?
What?
color is your
The cape? Sorry, I'm thinking of Edna Mode, no capes. It's probably purple because purple is the color of lupus, and the lupus support ribbon. Lupus ties to so many of my other medical conditions that I kind of see it as the like central revolving one. It is on a personal level why purple is such a big color in La Mamácita Mafiosa. There's a different reason for it in the book, but it's my survivor color.
I love it. I love it.
We use a lot of purple
We
too,
do.
I
so
can
we
see
can just yeah.
it's very similar vibes. In fact, the pink and yell's logo is pretty much the
Oh,
pink of
that
the
cover's
moon on
cool.
my first book. Yeah.
See, we were meant
So
to
We
be.
inadvertently are supporting you and didn't even know it.
Mhm.
Look at that.
Cool is that?
I love to think these dark moments and then just have the contrast of really pretty. Like in the first novel, and I think this is probably why the first one went #1 in erotic horror. There's a spicy scene on a guillotine, and I made it sparkle because I wanted the shiny. And then, like, there's in La Mamacita Mafiosa, they turn the bodies of the people that have committed offenses into artwork. And so they're like, if you've ever seen memorial art with the ashes, that but on steroids.
See, I knew
Wow.
I liked you.
Um,
I'm so excited. Sorry.
that's okay.
My kind of book. I love books like this.
Oh my goodness.
I will say for readers, read the trigger warnings,
The menu?
Always.
especially.
Yeah, make sure you read the menu.
I love that. It's 2 pages long, so it's a full menu. But especially with some of the grief things with miscarriages and that
Yeah.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
some people this book is not for. On the flip side, I've had the pleasure of talking to a couple readers, and I actually sent them copies of my book because their story touched me so much. They were finally speaking out about being assaulted.
Wow.
And there is a scene in here where one of the characters gets vengeance for her assault, and it's a healing thing that she didn't know she needed. And when I was talking about that with these readers before the book came out, they're like, I want to read the book as my therapy because there's this thing with horror in particular, and I think this book touches on it a little bit, where when we go through traumatic things, one of the most traumatic parts is that we don't have control over it. And so there's something you can do with horror called exposure therapy, where you pick up something that is similar to that traumatic thing, and then it gives you the power back because you can hit pause on a movie or you can close the book and come back to it when you're ready. And so it can be very therapeutic. And I'm just so touched that my books have been able to help people. Like, even more so than when Sanctuary went #1, I just want to help people. If it touches one life, then it's worth it.
And these are my
Yeah.
favorite kind of books because we were ARC readers for a gal who wrote a book about like anxiety and like panic attacks. And I also suffer from severe anxiety. And at first I was super nervous to read the book because I thought it might have been a trigger. But the way that she did it was to me, it helped like explain to my husband, like, this is how it really feels. And like Miranda, she was like, it was cool to see the other side of it where you're actually the person in the book who has that disorder and that you get to live through them because you normally don't get to experience that and not experience it
That
in a
was
happy way, but
interesting with my debut novel. I wrote it like you have the disability. So it's a little bit slower paced because I take excess time to describe things to simulate what it feels like to be overstimulated. Like, I'm a tetrachromat, so I see more colors than most people. So there's more descriptions of colors
that's
in
so
here.
cool.
I also have really good hearing, and so like I can hear the difference in tone in temperatures of water. And
Wow.
so there's more sense. And so all of the things that are my disability, I make the vampire superpowers. So the heightened senses, indestructibility, because I I don't know how many times death has tried to take me and it hasn't been able to. So there's a little bit of that too. But I got a lot of hate on my first book because of the pacing, because people didn't understand what it was supposed to be. And I'm 1000% okay with that
Yeah.
because people who feel seen by it, it means the world, and they are who I am writing for.
You're amazing. Can I just tell you that? I just want to say that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, your book, we've already kind of touched on, intertwines trauma recovery and mafia elements. How did you balance those heavy themes while still keeping it gripping?
I went more with okay, I based a lot of the setting off of my dad's side of the family who's from Mexico. And so I intertwined things with a more fun aspect of El Dia de los Muertos. Like, there's is very difficult for me, and yet somehow I've chosen to do that for my readings for every reading I've done. Talking about going and getting advice from loved ones who have passed on in the graveyard, visiting their tomb, because we do that with my abuela and abuelo all of the time, and my cousins who have passed away. And there's like that leads into setting up the traditional altar, and everything has meaning in there. And so I balance it with those fun, interesting elements, and then also the smut. Like I said, a third of this book is smut. The mafia elements somehow are also smut. And so it's a lot of Graciela is very cautious. Like, she never wants to wrong someone else. And so a lot of the book is built up to, okay, we're actually going to deal with this. And it's observing, okay, has this person made reprimands, giving him the last chance? How does he treat his mom? Not great. How does he treat other people? What are the kinds of people that he's around? Is there a chance that he could reform? And ultimately, no. And it's very much his choice. And so she's finally like, okay, when the people I love, the people that I care about are actively in danger, I'm going to handle it. And then that goes into some of her trauma that she didn't realize she had. And it gets, eh, there's a reason why there's so many triggers for the mafia elements. I used a couple of things that I don't know how my mind came up with this. It's very twisted. when you read the book, when you get to it, I'm just going to say vapor rub and hot sauce.
I'm intrigued.
And then tattoos, of course. But it's a very unique way of trying to get a point across. And you also get a lot of the backstory from the why she is doing this. That is going to be fully explored in the second book. All 3 books will be out before the end of 2028.
Heck yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting because this book is set a few years in the future. The next book will be set around this year. And then the book before that will be set right after those laws got passed in Texas in 2023. So we're working our way back.
That's cool.
And then at the end of the last book, we come back to present day where La Mamácita Mafiosa ends, and we get a little bit of a happily ever after and very dark and twisted happily ever after as well that I am very excited to write.
Hot sauce and vapor rub.
Hot sauce and
That's
vapor
what
rub.
stuck with her this whole time. She's just been like,
There's this thing that my family always used to tell me: if you're sick, ponte Vicks, which is just put vapor rub on it, you'll feel better.
Mhm.
And for the most part, it works. And so Graciela decides to apply that to a non-medical problem.
It's my girl.
It's very creative, and like that's not even the most twisted thing in the book.
I'm so excited. Just saying.
oh my goodness.
I can see the spot where it's going to
Well-
sit now.
Right. Well, with that being said, let's jump into our quirky kind of questions because it seems to fit right now.
Okay.
If Graciela were to put a hit out on a fictional character from any other book or movie, who would it be and why?
That's tough.
What was I just reading?
You're like, this person needs a hit out on
That's what I'm
Ash.
trying to figure out.
The person that popped into my mind dies in the book that I was thinking of, so
Well, it could work.
she wouldn't have. Yeah, have y'all read Lights Out?
Mm-hmm.
The arrogant, assaulty guy
Yeah.
him. That's the kind of person that she takes out. Pretty much anyone that is abusive to people, which I tend to get triggered by a lot of that in media. And so, despite me writing the stuff in my books, I don't actually have a lot of points of reference for that. I can more think of people that she would team up with.
I have one.
What's the one you're thinking of?
Do you know who I'm thinking of? It's Jason, Twisted Fates for FMC.
Yeah. Yes. That would be a great. That's not out yet.
I know.
But when it comes out, you'll have to check it out.
We were beta
because
readers.
Andy, yes.
Okay.
Andy and Graciela would be like,
Yeah.
perfect team.
I could see Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And then, there are a couple of characters in House of Bone and Rain by Gabino Iglesias that she would take out, but I don't want to say their names specifically because it gives away the twist at the end.
Okay. That's fair.
Highly recommend that book. Gabino is one of those people that really inspires me, and it's more kind of a retroactive inspiration because I wrote La Mamácita Mafiosa in Spanglish and went against convention and did not italicize any of the Spanish because I didn't want it to be othered.
Yeah.
And in my family, they switch between English and Spanish in the same sentence. Like
Mhm.
every other word will be Spanish sometimes. And so I wrote it the way that it's what it's like talking to my family. And to just have like 2 or 3 words italicized just felt wrong.
Yeah.
And he did that with some of his work as well. And I didn't find out till after I was done with La Mamácita Mafiosa, but it made me feel so valid because he has won a Bram Stoker Award for one of his novels. That book was The Devil Takes Me Home, which is on my spooky reads list for this month. But I read House of Bone and Rain because that one was nominated for the Stoker this year. And I'm trying to work my way through all of the Stoker nominations for this year. But phenomenal book. I hate the twist at the end with a passion. And that is a good thing. That is why I recommend it. One of my mentors I used to do technical theater before all of my medical stuff. I did it professionally for 5 years. And if you know anything about theater, it's very hard to pay the bills doing theater.
Yep.
And I did that for 5 years, which is saying something. And one of my mentors used to do this thing where she would count how many people walked out of her place. And the higher the number, the happier she was. And she said she didn't want people to say, "Oh, that was so good. It was so nice. It was such a lovely play," because that meant it didn't have an impact. She either wanted
Right.
the raving, absolute fanatical response, like about how much they loved it, or she wanted them walking out.
Yeah.
Because if they were walking out, it means the point she was trying to make with the story hit home. It made them uncomfortable and that they were going to be lingering, thinking about the play and about the important issues. And House of Bone and Rain did that for me. And I finished it this summer and I'm still sitting with the discomfort of the twist and like what it made me think about speaks to how incredible it was. And like that is what I strive for with my books is I want them to be both therapy and also the thing that makes you uncomfortable to the point that you think about it.
Well, it sounds like you've done a great job.
Yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
Because now when we get off here, I'm going to be thinking about your book until I read it. And then probably long after. Just saying. So your book stepped into cultural and emotional intensity. If you could build a playlist for it, what's the first song you would add?
The first song that I would add is Jefa by Heidi Rojas. It is pretty much the anthem of the book. I do actually have a Spotify
Love
playlist that
Spotify playlists
I'm
for
listening
books.
to while writing it. Actually, let me grab some more of the songs because I feel like songs sometimes give a better vibe than actually talking about it. So I also like highly recommend Heidi Rojas for anything. Hang on, let me get back to that playlist because I've switched to a new project that I'm writing, and that is the main one, Battlefield by Sky Daddy. I know that's been huge on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Chick by Somo, God Sent Me as Karma by Emmeline, For the Girls by Aston. So this one's more just, it makes me a little bit homesick, but Vamonos by Baby Bash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, those are some of the labor, the cacophony. Like, a lot of TikTok songs made it onto this list.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
And
We
because
love
we always
playlists.
have to ask, what's your go-to writing snack or drink when you're diving into dark mafia scenes?
I don't really have a go-to because I write very weird. I have Scrivener on my phone, and so I will write in the 15 minutes that I'm sitting waiting for a doctor's appointment. I will write out and about while I'm waiting throughout my day, and it's like these 5 to 20-minute sessions that combined end up being 2 to 3 hours. There are very few times that I just like specifically sit down and write. That being said, my go-to snack in general is either Goldfish or Cheez-Its because the salt is really good for my pots. And my go-to drink is this electrolyte drink called advanced.gg. I'm actually an affiliate for them, and it is a better version of electrolytes. They're a little bit less expensive than Liquid IV. They're diabetic friendly and have more like of a health aspect than a lot of electrolyte drinks out there because they can be so sugary and that can tank your insulin and your blood sugar really quick. And so if you need a lot of it, this is a much better alternative. The company was inspired by video gamers. So they wanted someone for people that were behind their computer all the time. And the representative that I ran into at Fan Expo this year when I was selling my books has the same medical conditions I do. And she's like, I'm fine with this. And so I'm like, okay, I will try it. And I am a little bit addicted. They have a watermelon flavor for hydration that is phenomenal. And I grew up with watermelons like growing in our backyard. Advanced.gg. And then if your readers want to try it, I have a code that'll get them 10% off. It's author CT10.
Oh, cool. I'm going to go get it.
So if they want to do that, because I try and make everything as accessible no matter what it is. If it's a brand that I work with, it has to have some aspect of that because I really want to make things as easy as possible for people.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I hope this comes off in a good way. Like, you're a badass. Can I just say that?
Why would that come off in a
I
bad
don't
way?
know.
We didn't even talk about how I used to train to do sword fighting as a shield maiden for Viking reenactments.
That is super cool. That
Now
would
Yeah,
be so
and
fun.
I used
are a
to
badass.
combat.
Yes.
I've done a little bit of everything. I used to be a certified pyrotechnician and would shoot off fireworks for the city. So the big explosions. I've got a weird backstory, and like we could do a couple hours just on.
Man, you've lived a good and wild life.
There's only one of my dream careers that I had when I was a kid that I haven't had and I never intend to have. I wanted to be a wedding planner when I was a little girl, and now I know how much stress goes into planning weddings, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
even
will stare
planned my
at
own wedding.
pictures.
Right.
And so I'm not about to do that, but everything else, I wanted to be a pyrotechnician when I was little because we used to live outside of city limits. And so we'd get to like shoot off fireworks for my birthday, which was awesome. And I always wanted to do the big ones, and I got to do the big ones. And I wanted to be in theater, and I did that for many years. And so I've done pretty much everything I wanted to.
That's
And now
incredible.
life
It
is
is.
just
And you're writing
surprising
books
me.
on top of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so cool. Awesome. Well, that was it for our questions for you. It has been a powerful and fun
Yeah.
conversation. We cannot wait for readers to experience your work. Where was I?
I don't know.
I just completely lost my train of thought. I was like, woo, gone. Okay. Celina, where can everybody find you and your work so we can link it in the captions below?
It's author C. Thompson on everything. Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everything. And then also, I have a project coming up that will be launching at the end of this month. It's going to be on Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is for a graphic novel that is a feminist retelling of Jack the Ripper. It's got another one of my really unique, twisty elements in it. And I'm doing something fun where I am working with multiple artists. So each chapter is going to be a different incident and done by a different artist. So you get a personal feeling for the victims, and it's not just about the attacker. And then it's going to have some other things that we change up the style a little bit going throughout. It's all complementary art styles, but because of that, it's going to be very much a labor of love and a heavy upfront cost so that I can take care of the artist. But that should be launching at the end of this month if anyone is interested in getting an advanced copy of Women of Whitechapel.
Sold.
That is so cool. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Well, we will have everything linked below so you all can follow along. Keep your eye out for that. Celina, thank you so much again for joining us on the Weekly Mash. For our listeners, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure that you're giving us all of your feedback on our episodes and keeping watch for new ones coming out all the time.
All the time.
Until next time, happy reading.